Good afternoon, Misfits. 21.3 and 21.4 have dropped. That means it's time to talk warm-up and efficiency tips. We have a lot of stuff to cover in this video, and we want to get into the studio nice and quick. So if you feel like we're running through it a little bit too fast, don't worry about it. Podcast next, full breakdown of all the movements. So we're getting warmed up for this. Same as every other week. We want to get into the gym or go to that machine in the house and have that sweat check. Get on a machine, work through anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes, somewhere in that range. You just want to feel like the blood flow is there, sweat is going, you're good to go. When you show up at the gym, we've got a primer for you. 3 rounds, 8 pull-ups, 10 calorie row, 12 front rack step-ups. Your row, we want pyramid pacing again. First round, that means moderate, not full all-out sprint. Second round is an all-out sprint, and then back to that first round pace for your third one. Front rack step-ups will be with an empty bar at 24/20 inches. Unless there's a mobility concern. If this is uncomfortable for you in the warm-up, getting that leg up, it is okay to go 20 or 16 inches, whatever you got to do. We're just looking for a little bit of leg drive so we can ensure blood flow. So now we have all these movements to go over. We're going to talk about the front squat and the thruster first. Haas is going to pick up the bar here. I'm going to have him do some front squats, but only because I want you guys to think about how you are squatting when it comes to the thruster. So he's just going to work through some reps here. And it's a nice natural squat. And what really, sort of drives him up is it's through the legs and his knee is fully extended. So he really finishes there. If he starts to do thrusters now and thinks about the same exact thing, really keep those heels down. We can keep that cycle rate good. We can stop from getting forward and only using our front halves. Go ahead and put that bar down now. Let's talk about some gymnastics. Toe to bar efficiency, if you are used to our videos, you've seen this before, but it's nice to think about this stuff when you're in the workout. I was going to say Hunter, you're not Hunter. Austin, go ahead and jump up. He's going to start doing some toes to bar. He's going to stay long in his swing. He's going to bring his knees to his chest, and then he is going to kick. He's got a nice full grip on the bar there. Nice cycle speed. Go ahead and come down. You ready for some chest to bar? Let's do it. All right. Start doing some chest to bar. I'm going to talk about what you're doing. So as he's working through these, if we're going to make sure that that cycle rate, that time under tension, that time that we're gripping on the bar gets lowered. You can actually come down for a second. I was going to be talking for too long. So as he's going through that, and he's going to do another set for us here in a second, you're going to notice that as his feet get out in front of him, it becomes a hip-driven movement, okay? The feet get in front of you so that you can create leverage at the hip to then pop and make yourself go up from that position. If we leave the legs long and try to just throw the legs up every time to get us over, we're going to have that really slow, sort of repetitive looking chest to bar pull-up. We want time under tension down in this workout. So he's going to jump up one more time. You only got to do a couple and just watch his feet get in front, then his hips go. Over and over. Efficient and fast. That's what we like. Bar muscle up. I'm going to talk a bunch before you go this time. All right, so bar muscle ups, we are completely changing the way we're thinking about gymnastics with the pull-up bar when it comes to this movement. It's different than the kip that you typically see in the toe to bar, pull-up, and chest to bar. So when you see him go here, I want you to focus on 3 things. He is going to get his entire front kip, that chest forward, feet back in front of this plane right here. All of that is going to happen in front of the pull-up bar. As he's going back, his first cue is to get his knees as close to the bar as he can. And then as that transition happens, we get up over. He is going to try to bring his hip all the way to the bar. So again, we're on the front side with that full kip, knees in, and then during the transition, he's going to throw his hips through. Go ahead and snag a couple reps for me. He's really driving those knees up, and then the hip goes to the bar. Good. Go ahead and come down. Last but not least, some quick efficiency tips back over at the barbell for 21.4. In the complex, especially in the clean, the barbell is going to want to pull you forward. So we're going to try to go over 1 point of performance here to make sure that that doesn't happen. So he's going to go ahead and deadlift the bar up. And if he's warming up here, and he's going through this complex and he really feels like he's having an issue with the bar pulling him forward, it's actually going to go a little bit slower on the way down to ensure that he remembers that that clean pull is different than the deadlift. And the way that we make sure throughout the clean that it's not pulling us forward is as he passes the knees and goes up, his knee bend is regained. He's in front of the bar, and we're keeping those heels down as long as we possibly can. It's going to be challenging throughout the whole thing to keep your heels down, but the longer you do it, the better body position you're going to have throughout those front squats. So he's going to go ahead and clean now. Good. When he's going to the hang clean, do one bounce clean for me. We are allowed to do the bounce clean. You are allowed to do the bounce clean in this workout. I do not suggest trying to figure that out at close to 90% of your clean and jerk today. But if you can do that, obviously grip is going to be saved in that movement. But if he comes back down to the hip here, potentially has to regrip, whatever it is, we're still going over that same thing. He wants to get out over the barbell to get leverage, but he has to regain that knee bend as he comes back up and keep those heels down as long as he possibly can. So you're gonna do the hang clean now. And then your upper body at this point after the workout, at this point, and I mean, he's just been holding that for a while. Feels good, right? Great. Feels great. You need to get under the bar. You absolutely positively have to get under the bar. The cue that we love to use here at Misfit Athletics is the back leg, the knee of the back leg. We're gonna try to drive into the ground to get that position. So he's gonna go ahead and jerk here. He's got that nice angle, almost straight down from the hip to the knee. That bend there is going to allow you to get under the bar. You can go ahead and stand up. You're good. So again, we got sweat check, we got primer, we got all these movements to, make sure the mobility, everything's feeling good. Now we're gonna head into the studio and give you an even more in-depth breakdown.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the 21.3/21.4 breakdown. Full Goon Squad in the house, and the only real honorary Goon Squad member in the whole wide world, Mr. Cody Mooney. How we doing, sir?
Good. Yourself?
Pretty good.
Good.
Pretty good. We're going to get through some housekeeping stuff, but we're going to be giving away a bunch of free shit. So hope you guys enjoy that. We have a brand new website, misfitathletics.com, brand spanking new website. It looks better. It's faster. You can customize your own user profiles. Make sure you get in and do that. A lot of times we don't have context to help you guys out when you ask specific questions. So if you fill out that profile, we can go through and click, see what some of your history is with certain movements, certain time domains, and that can give us the context that we need. We have revamped all of the weakness templates. If you are a pro or complete subscriber, you can check those out, and those will really help supplement your program if you're struggling with something specific. The week in advance for complete subscribers now. So if you aren't used to Misfit Athletics and you have the complete tier, if you go in and sign up for that, you can get your entire week of programming in advance in a PDF. We used to have to do that through Facebook groups. Now you can download those right on the site. So you go into your profile, you set which program you're looking for, and then it is automatically uploaded and you can download it straight from there, trying to make things much easier. We also have yearly pricing. We thought about the Misfits that always stick around. We want to be able to give you guys a little bit of a discount. So if you go in, you can now sign up and receive a discount for paying for your year instead of paying month to month. And we're working on some really cool features that'll be coming soon. Sharpen the Axe giveaway. So if you have not figured this out yet, you're going to want to do it for our recap podcast episode next week once the Open is over. Hashtag Misfit Takeover 2021 2021 on your games leaderboard. We go to that. We find the top 25. We're going to read them off here in a second, and then we draw from a hat to give you a free STA prize pack. So the top 25 Misfit women overall after week 2. Lauren Weeks, Sonia Mori, Kenzie Riley, Paige Semenza, Carly Lucas, Lexi Colabianchi, Caroline Connors, Jessica Lundeen, Shaylin Lohr, Hannah Hardy, Miriam Hazlitt, Alexis Johnson, Jenna Michelotti, Sophie Shaft, Delia Moses, Aaron Vandendriesch, Catherine Sanburn, Lindsay Lee, Allison Carley, Caitlin O'Leary, Alex Mueller or Miller, I'm not sure, Jenna McVeigh, Kate Gosling, Michaela Mayer, and Maria Pavlova.
Booyah.
Cody, you ready for this?
Ooh,
you have a nice
this is why
STA trucker here. You can get
right here, this part.
Just grab the name out of the hat.
You can get this hat at sharpentheaxeco.com. Use the code word Kiala. Save yourself 10% on your order and donate 10% to the Kiala Foundation. The names go in. We shake it up. Cody, no cheating.
It's going to grab like 7.
Don't look.
I saw him look.
He looked. All right, who we got?
Is it me?
You got to read it.
That's
Please be me.
part of the gig.
Shaylin Lore.
Cody can't read.
Shaylin Lore. Please email Jen with 2 N's, Jenn, at misfitathletics.com. Name, address, sizes, all that good stuff, and we will get a prize pack out to you. All right, we are on to the gentleman. Let's see if I can figure out what's going on here. Top 25 overall after week 2. Marshall Creed, Roy Gamboa, Austin Spencer, Holly Holgerson, George Regas, Sam Coltharp, Jake Julian, Brady Fluitt, Zach Greer, Stephen Milanisi, Alberto Arredondo Sanchez, Ryan Bretag, Hunter, The Pebble Wood, Sean Scott, Josh Mattis. I'm just reading what Jen wrote. Listen, Jalen Franklin.
Listen, guy.
Although you look like the Pebble when you fell over with that 266. Brad Miller, Jake
Triple body weight. What am I supposed to do with that thing?
Justin Reidelback, Zach Fowler, Joan Falcon, Brent Proctor, Sherb,
Unbelievable.
Eric Libardoni, and Jason Lucas.
I got a question. Where would Cody be on that list if he had added Misfit Takeover 2021 to
We'll
his
have
game
to we'll have to
profile?
have Jen or Ted figure that out. We'll get back to
Just
you.
curious. All right. Come on, Pebble.
I definitely would have been above you.
I mean, let's hope so. I mean, last Open, though, I'm pretty sure I beat you by 1 spot.
Dude, you live in the past, bro.
That's the only place I was fit.
I don't know.
Josh Matz is our winner for the men this week.
Josh, I'm not sure if it's Matts or Mattis,
Matts.
but nice job. You're the 15th overall Misfit after week 2. Please email Jen with 2 N's, Jenn at misfitathletics.com. Name, address, sizes, and we will get a prize pack out to you. We're going to keep going. We're building a ton of anticipation here for the grip test, the weekly grip test.
I forgot about that.
Don't worry, all right? So we're
You
going
boys are at
through.
a disadvantage, though, from what you just did.
I'm toasted. There's no chance I can
I
do
know.
well this week.
I have not eaten anything since 4:15 p.m. on Sunday. I'm keeping it together, though. I was worried.
You're gonna tip over out of the stool like
I might.
over under
I might.
265.
I'm coming in hot with the enthusiasm. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Oh,
All right.
goodness.
FitAid giveaway winner. Massive shout out to FitAid, to LifeAid Bevco. They have been in our corner since all the way back when no one knew who the hell we were. They've been supporting us for a very long period of time. We're big fans of their product. I unfortunately started the trend of people drinking immunity aid during COVID because you get to drink your vitamin D and your zinc and all that good stuff. That's going to help you in the pandemic. And then everyone bought it and there wasn't any left and I was upset. But so shout out to them. They gave us a $500 prize pack.
Good
Yeah,
Lord.
bring in the heat. And the winner is
Please be me.
Hunter the Pebble Wood.
Did not win.
Actually?
Did not win. No. At Sean
I'd like to take this
_
time-
Scott. Sean Scott. Congratulations. Email podcast at misfitathletics.com to claim your prize. And once again, shout out to FitAid. All right. You better be watching, listening, something right now because this is big.
Grip test?
We
Calm down over there.
think about, you guys already know the answer to this, so this isn't a fun game. All the people out there, think about the company that has been like part of our ethos for a while. Like their equipment is like baked into what we do and the things that we teach. Turns out they're also awesome people. Cody can obviously attest to that. We are giving away an Assault Bike Pro.
Damn.
We are giving away a yes.
Finally.
Oh, I'm fired up. So the grip test. I don't know. That's why I wanted to wait.
Oh, there my beta alanine just kicked in.
Finally.
20 minutes
Jeez.
too late.
A little late.
Jesus, yeah. Come on, bar muscle up.
Slow metabolizer.
So we are very excited about this. We're super pumped to be working with Assault Bike. We're going to be working with them on some specialty programs. We got some really good stuff coming with them, and sort of to really kick off this partnership, we are giving away an Assault Bike Pro. We're very excited. So massive shout out to everyone over at Assault Fitness. The Assault Bike Pro could be yours, and you need to go to giveaway.misfitathletics.com /open.
And I can vouch for that. That's an epic bike. I have one of the pro versions, and it's killer. It's has a little bit. You can actually give it a little bit without it kind of.
Yeah,
like,
how many assault bikes you break? Or not assault bikes. How many Airdynes back in the day did you break?
All of them.
Not as many as you.
I mean,
Yeah, I
between
know,
Ted,
seriously.
They used
Ted,
to
Cody, and
fall
I,
apart when you
Sherb,
looked at them.
I think I've only been on it once. It's a little sturdier, a little beefier.
Yeah, it's a little beefier. The handles are a little bit different. I do really like it. Yeah.
Sick.
So we are going to post this on the grams. So if you can't handle giveaway.misfitathletics.com/open, don't you worry. We're going to have a link for you to visit.
Can't believe you said
Make
that all at once.
sure you enter. I don't know. I'm entering some sort of weird mental state.
We got to get
I'm
that grip
climbing.
test out of the
All
way.
right. So
We don't need
grip
you for the
test.
rest, just the grip test.
Just the grip test. You know how it goes. Can Sherb continue to be the weakest man in this room? We will find out in 1 second. His elbow touched the table last week and he still lost.
144.6.
Oh my
I hate
goodness.
this fucking thing.
That's my.
I'm gonna
clean
break it next week.
complex, dog.
I'm literally gonna smash on the floor.
I always
fucking
go
hate that thing.
left-handed. If I win, it's because of the fast. If I lose,
It's because of the fast. Oh, 110.
I don't feel strong. 157. Oh my.
Wow,
That thing's fucking rigged.
Get out there
I'm
and
convinced
stretch
it
press, guy.
jumps up every
Get out
time
there
someone
and
uses
test
it.
your bench
Give it
press.
I'm the one
280.
warming it up.
Oh yeah, you have to go third this time because he crushed you last time. Let's see if you can redeem yourself. It's a terrifying noise.
This is terrifying.
175 too.
That's pretty good.
that's
If you
pretty
don't
good.
try, you'll lose. Start.
Start my grip training. It's bullshit.
Oh, he's got his palm
Yeah,
on the
no,
table. You
we need to
kidding? You out
redo.
of your
His hand
mind?
touched the table. His hand touched the table.
Okay, there we go.
He did get 187.
That's because he touched the table. High score. What does that mean?
He did cheat because he got 0.4 more the first time. 186.6.
Fucking rigged.
People were DMing me after the last one. They're like, Cody shows up, wins the grip test, and fucks off into the sunset again.
Every time.
All right. So I think we have a workout and a lift to talk about here.
Yeah, we actually have some strategy. To
21.3.
Be fit.
You know what? We're not going to get into that quite yet. So Sherb v. Hunter, we have a tie now. And what I'm thinking is we give you guys whoever comes up with the best tiebreaker idea that you guys agree to.
Perfect.
50 hot dogs at once?
That you agree to will win an STA prize pack. So if you guys
One
tell
of us wins
them,
an STA?
are you going to sell it in the parking lot?
Yeah.
So we need your ideas. So head into the Facebook Live or YouTube Live comments right now. Give us your ideas.
What's
we are
yours?
going to choose. I do want to like
Hand-to-hand combat?
Can we
Got it.
raise money for charity and just have no punching?
What, it's just like wrestle?
Just no punching. You can do whatever you want. Maybe not biting.
Yeah.
I was gonna stick his tongue in my ear.
I didn't say that.
We got case of Butterfingers is the very first suggestion here.
And
we are going to get to that at the end though.
In a charity donation.
We are going to. What's that? Yes. Yep. It did disappear though. All right. So 21.3. You guys had some issues with the bar muscle ups. We'll get to that. What's the overall feel of this workout?
It's pretty gassy and muscular overload, I'd say. You know, early on is able to move pretty steady. Heart rate jumps up pretty high, and then you get to the bar muscle ups. And if you don't have the requisite gymnastics pulling capacity that here and I don't have, we get stuck around a little bit doing some smaller sets. So it felt pretty gassy until the bar muscle ups, and then the muscular fatigue set in, and that was, you know, managing how much rest to work that you had. And I had significantly more rest than work, and I could hear you guys over in the corner going like, get up on the pull-up bar. I was like, I'm trying.
Yeah, the grip factor was a little bit bigger than I expected. I tried a couple things to mitigate that with just the barbell kind of holding onto a relatively sloppy front rack position, but with a lighter weight, I think I could get away with that, and that's how I prefer to save my grip. But for folks like us, kind of like the hatchet level athlete or so, I don't think it's definitely not an unbroken challenge, especially at least through those first two gymnastics movements. Looking back, I think I would have benefit from moving a little bit more methodically, like more with a purpose, and then breaking up, maybe doing those toes to bar in 2 sets intentionally, because my pull-ups started to get a little bit sloppy, and that cost me some grip strength. And then just general fatigue that made those bar muscle ups a little bit harder than they might usually be. So
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting workout because the barbell almost until you get to the heavyweight at the end, really didn't matter all that much. I never really hesitated to do the 15 front squats fast and unbroken. The thrusters were a little bit of a pain after the bar muscle ups just because my arms were smoked, but at no point was I really worried about having to break up the barbell stuff. It was kind of just an annoyance, and it was really a test of how good are your gymnastics and how brave are you to jump back up and put your hands on the bar, soon. So that's the tricky part there, is knowing what that line is for you, because if you overextend yourself too early, you're not someone who's trying to do this in like 8 or 9 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever the best times are. You need to know where your line is and break it up at that point so you don't overextend yourself, because if you do cook your pulling muscles before you get the bar muscle ups, it's going to be a very slow grind.
From a programming standpoint, you almost like that the thrusters are an afterthought, because that metabolic demand gets thrown through the roof. A lot of people that don't normally do 15 thrusters in a row in a workout, especially in the middle or towards the end, they're going to do it this time. And I could tell for both of you, movement felt easy, and then it's one of those things where intensity is freedom, but you end up back under the bar breathing really heavy because
you had that little carrot dangling, knowing the rest is coming, so you're like, screw it, I'll just go. Once you get to 5 thrusters, you're like, I have 10 left. It's barely double digits, so I'll just finish these. And the rest, I don't know, the first 30 seconds wasn't very fun, kneeling down underneath the pull-up bar, but by the end of that, you've recovered enough where you can push the speed on the front squats and still do them, attack the workout instead of being like, I should be a little bit more cautious here because my legs might blow up and that might cause me to, be inefficient, and then I can't be on the pull-up bar very fast. But I don't know how you felt, but the front squats were like, not too much as a hindrance to your ability to go up on the pull-up bar and start.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of our athletes, those front squat, the front squat themselves is pretty easy, and there's enough time. The gymnastics provide enough time for your legs to kind of recover so that you can pretty confidently go back up to do that second set of thrusters. Even after my bar muscle ups, I looked pretty sorry walking back to my barbell. Took an extra 5 seconds to pick the barbell up, which I shouldn't have. You should walk right back to that barbell and knock out your second set of thrusters.
You're not going to feel any better in a few seconds.
It doesn't. Yeah, the extra 3 seconds you spend with your hands on your knees doesn't do anything for you.
No.
So Cody, you saw the announced workout before you watched them go.
Yep.
Anything change in how you want to attack the workout based on seeing them go? Or obviously, and this is not a joke, or is no offense to be taken, but you're going to move through this faster than these guys.
I'm offended.
You kidding me?
I just think it's one of those things kind of we talked about, and I think both of them kind of knew early on that maybe the pace was a little too hot in the beginning. And it's just one of those things where
that's the only pace we know.
Yeah. Suicide pace. Yeah. Steve Fontaine. No, but it's just it's, maybe that 1-2 sets. I talked to Sherb. Sherb did 23 chest to bar right off the bat. And you and I looked at each other right when he dropped down. I was just like, I know Sherb, and I think that's a little too much because his heart rate's going to go really high, and it's going to affect him on the second round through. And Hunter kind of said the same thing, where he could start feeling his grip a little bit in the chest to bar, and it's just getting yourself in those first 2 rounds to be successful in the third, because seconds in the first 2 rounds turns into 20, 30, a lot more, multiples in the last round.
Hey, Cody gave me 8 seconds. It's been 8 seconds. Why aren't you on the pull bar? And I'm like, it's because it's been 8 seconds. It's only 8 seconds.
So obviously this workout is one of the ones where first place and really impressive if you're the 150th place in the world. They're going to be very different times.
Oh, yeah.
So watching the Panchek brothers go unbroken through the first 2 parts, and then I believe Scott was about 3 sets on his bar muscle ups. We'll talk about movement efficiency here in a second, but it's important to know yourself as an athlete when you're going into this workout. You can't place yourself where you think your overall fitness is as your strategy. Obviously it's the open. You get to have a redo if you want to. We're all about redos here. It's, the joke is if Michael Jordan missed the game winning shot and they threw him the ball again and said, shoot it, he would say, nah, I'm good. All done. So we're all about redos around here, just to make sure you know what you're capable of. That's always important. But as you're going through those movements, you need to obviously break on purpose. When you break because of what's happened to you and it's not a strategy, that becomes a problem. And then when it comes to, the toes to bar, I believe is still a very slippery slope if you break those up a bunch, because you might still feel exactly the same towards the end and you've given up all that time. So I would say that one, for almost every athlete should be 2 sets. And if it is 3, it's very strategic, jump back up kind of thing. And then the chest to bar has to be somewhat based on feel. Having a plan is great. You know, getting over half done and then doing 2 moderate sets and running over to the bar instead of walking over could probably have helped you guys a little bit. And then bar muscle ups are going to go how they're going to go. But I do want to hear from you guys, because you, until you started doing the chicken wing, didn't look that tired, and you
good actor
didn't really like your bar muscle ups looked smooth and easy. They were technically very efficient, but you just didn't seem to want to do them. Were you pumping out? Were you breathing? Like, what was the actual feel that was driving that?
Yeah, my arms were tired.
Yeah,
my arms were tired.
They just didn't look tired. So it was what is?
Yeah, I probably could have reached a little bit more. My plan was to, like, Cody kind of made me get up and do a set just to get it out of the way. So I hit a set of 3, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll do 3s or maybe I'll do 2s, knowing that my heart rate was going to come. I was going to be a lot of sets, and it was going to be based on feel. I maybe would have liked to do like 5 or 6 or something like that, and I probably could have, but did 3, came down, and then just started chipping away at 2s, and I was like, oh, once my heart rate comes back down, I'm going to start to feel better, and hopefully that'll become a couple sets of 3, maybe finishing with a set of 4, and then I'll knock those thrusters out. But the muscle fatigue for me just kind of set in a little bit. Like I said, my arms were a little bit tired, so that was what I had today. But I think that I would definitely be able to finish those front squats, immediately knock out a set, knock out a few smaller sets, and then as I kind of recover, that would turn back into sets of 3 and 4, and I'd be able to work through that in a lot fewer sets. So
I think a low-key part of this workout that, you know, we haven't really talked about yet is that 1-minute rest that occurs between the rounds, and what that does for muscular fatigue localized, like in your arms. Because, you know, like you were saying a second ago, I probably went a little too big on my pull-ups to start. Metabolically, I felt fine. Like, I was breathing a little bit heavy, but not to the point where I was like panicking and I got to come off the pull-up bar because I can't breathe. You know, I felt pretty good, which is why I kept going. And when I came down and went back up, I was like, all right, I feel okay. And then that 1-minute rest occurred.
Yeah. And
I did the front squats. I'm like, uh-oh, like my arms feel terrible now. And I do think there's something to be said.
It's not much of a flushing opportunity when you accumulate that waste at that point.
When there's a forced rest like that, and you just are, I mean, you're tired, so you're not really doing anything. You're not like moving your arms around. You run the risk of pumping your arms out, which then makes, like you said, you know, you thought you're like, oh, crush these bar muscle ups. You hop up and you do, 3, I'm fuck.
That's definitely, and that rest is definitely a troll rest, especially like everybody's done intervals before, but when you both finish and it's like, okay, you're both going at 2:45, it's like, God, shoot, like I have to hurry off the line. I have to do these squats unbroken, and like we're tied through the first one. Okay, pretty close through the second. So don't get caught with that. Don't get caught going out, like you said. You have to play your game.
Right.
Don't get trapped into what the person next to you is doing. Don't get trapped into what your friend thinks they're supposed to be doing. This is a very individualized workout as far as strategy goes.
I agree. The only thing that I will add here is if you are, there's some unicorns out there that can go in and say, I'm going to do 12, 10, 8 on my toes to bar, and they do not rest. And they go through the workout in that way. It is, from a coach's standpoint, it is very hard to give strategy like that because it builds in all this rest that the athlete takes, and you get in that time warp. It doesn't feel like
I have to wait until I can do my 10 and then have to, and like,
if you are that athlete, you know, Panchek did it in sub 8. You know, people are going to do this close to in 7 minutes, somewhere in that range, I believe. If you are that type of athlete, he did have some decent breaks in his bar muscle ups. To me, that means you can have those windows. The problem is, are you that person? Do you do 12 toes to bar, feet hit the floor, and you jump up and do 10? You know, do you do 15 chest to bar, your feet hit the floor, you know, you do 10 and 5, whatever it is. If you are that athlete, you can go for it. But I'm telling you that they are few and far between. It is very challenging to have that strategy and stick to it.
It's funny you were saying that to us in the workout. You were like, you can just keep moving. Don't standing around is not okay in this workout unless, you know,
it just never has been in the open, really.
Yeah.
And especially when for the open first, it's giving you, not for the first time, but like giving you a rest. You know what I mean? There is that part there. You guys say it's not a lot, but like I think the smaller sets will allow you to actually like use your rest as a rest instead of like trying to catch your tail there for a quick second.
I mean, it definitely was enough to like be ready, like reset, reassess how you're feeling and think to yourself like, okay, maybe I do need to adjust my strategy. I'm the type of person I'd rather go by feel. I did like 3 random sets of chest to bar pull-ups to get them done, because when they started to look terrible, I came off the bar, and then I made them look terrible for 2 more sets, but I was done. So,
right. So I'd like to move on to movement efficiency, because strategy-wise, this is a gymnastics test.
Yep.
Obviously, every single one of them are a fitness test, and the other things will apply. But if you are trying to, get to the quarterfinals, we're looking at unbroken, smooth barbells. That's just sort of how it is.
Yep.
I will say that some people in a shorter, more frantic workout could handle, really thinking about the way that they move in their thrusters. It seems like a simple movement, but so many people in thrusters, and it's even more exaggerated in wall balls if you're looking for a better, sort of correlation. People get forward in their thrusters and they feel like they're throwing their hips forward instead of just sort of opening them as they stand up. And then we see a lot of people, just the timing of the press. Like, obviously, if you're gonna drive your heels into the ground with that knee extension and use your torso to move the barbell, it's gonna be a lot easier. And then you don't want to have the bar come slamming down on you as you're lower in the squat. So just something to think about. What I said in the tip video at the beginning was just to make sure that you thruster the way that you front squat. That's a really good way to think about it, because people don't jump when they front squat. People typically don't get forward for more than a rep or 2, as they sort of settle into the movement. So you have that movement pattern, it's built in, you're doing it back and forth. To me, it makes a whole lot of sense to just think about the movement in that way.
The small amount of added effort to make sure that you're driving the bar overhead with your legs will pay dividends in your bar muscle ups. Like, most people don't think of that as like my dip is starting to go, like they would a ring muscle up. But when you've created that deficit, and then maybe your movement efficiency already isn't ideal, like, no, might not fail a dip, but you are going to wait an extra 3, 4, 5, 10 seconds before you hop up for your next set. So be efficient there. Even though they are a small part of the workout, it could pay dividends.
It matters
later on. Yeah.
I think you're going to see a lot of athletes try to find a gimmick on the toes to bar, and I believe that it is way too early in the workout to think about something like that. And I mean, it's just so rare that that sort of thing works in the long haul. So, I mean, toes to bar efficiency tips, we have a ton of videos on our YouTube channel. We had a shortened version, when I was working with Austin out in the gym at the beginning of the podcast, that we'll put up again as well. But I mean, you're staying long in your backswing because it is, a hip closing movement. If you bend at the knee a lot, you're going to lose that tension in your hip, and you're going to have to regain it more with your midline than your big, strong hip flexors. And it's knees to chest and then kick the bar. The last time that we posted that video, some people came in and asked, isn't it more efficient to do the pike toe to bar? And from a physics standpoint, the answer is no. The energy expenditure to kick the bar is, I know it was brought up by a bunch of people that commented on it, but it's just so negligible and a part of momentum. And typically toes to bar, it's not a breathing thing, right? So even if we did expend, a tiny unit of energy kicking the bar, we're not frying out our hip flexors that we need to squat and thruster and, and do all the rest of the things. I don't know if you guys have any comments on the toe to bar, but it's one of those things where if you stay efficient, you move the way that you normally do, you breathe through it, your heart rate's going to be lower.
Toes to bar you start the toes to bar 25, 30 seconds into the workout. Like, what kind of an advantage are you conferring yourself if you earn 4 extra seconds by scooping your toes to bar and being really, really like frantic with it early on? Like, I use the toe to bar specifically to think about breathing and being like, all right, I just did really fast front squats. My heart rate's going to climb. But if I can be methodical and kind of think about my breathing as I move through these, the grip wasn't a factor because it was the first movement, but I could think about settling my heart rate back down, which allowed me to go right over the barbell and pick it right up and knock out 15 thrusters.
When you do a 1K row, do you sprint from 200 to 300 meters?
Shit, yeah, you do.
But everything you got. Everything you got.
No, I mean, I was going to literally say exactly what you did. I mean, for the toe to bar, watching you guys do it, it's not what my rep speed looks like. For me, it's more like what do I look like
feel
while
like?
doing them? You know what I mean? Like breathing, composure, stuff like that. Because again, they're giving you a 1 minute rest, and it's if like you can actually gather yourself in that 1 minute. If I just go bounce around for the first, 15 front squats, right to my total bar, right back to my thrusters, like I'm not going to gather myself in that next, and then it's going to catch me probably around come the chest to bar. And I think if the more like smooth I can be and keep my, like you said, just kind of, big kip there, like knee up, be efficient, keep my breathing the same, and then actually use my rest as recovery, then I think that's what's going to help you get along, like help you out later on in the workout.
Definitely agree with that.
And if you're one of those athletes that has the big swing and you struggle to get the knees up and then get that big swing again, just make sure you're pushing your feet out at the top. Yeah, I mean, the open workouts, since this whole thing began, was can you be composed in the movements and stay moving and then have quick transitions?
Yep.
The only time that you're really like, oh shit, I got to get this done is I need to get from point A to point B and start working. Once you're working, composure and, staying out of your head and all that, that's much more important than figuring out how to shave 1/10 of a second off a toe to bar that then adds 2/10 of a second on your chest to bar, whatever it is.
Stay in attack mode when you're transitioning between movements, because you're not doing anything for an egregious set outside of the gymnastics. So when you finish your gymnastics, like you're changing the stimulus and how your body's feeling and what muscle groups you're using. So hustle over that barbell and get your 15 thrusters done quickly once you finish your gymnastics, because, I don't know how you felt, but at no point was I in danger of failing a 95-pound thruster or feeling like I was going to, over my head. Like they all felt pretty smooth. So, why move poorly on the gymnastics to try to, again, get a couple seconds back when you're going to slowly transition over the barbell and slowly take your time to pick it up and do your first one. So,
and obviously, I mean, mentally knowing you have a break after that must have helped you through your thrusters.
Carrot dangling.
Exactly. I mean, it is a definite thing you think about.
Chest to bar pull-ups. As always, we are looking for an excellent grip on the bar. We've got to get that pinky knuckle over. If you can wrap your thumb, please do wrap your thumb. We're trying to get away from that motorcycle grip where you're re-gripping, all the time during the set. We really want to set that grip in. If you have nice grips and a nice pull-up bar, obviously that makes it a little bit easier. But that's the basis of, you should have said it about the toasted bar. It's the basis for all these movements, really getting your grip locked in so you're not fighting that like cliffhanger grip the whole time, because that gets ugly after a while. So we want it to be hip driven. And there was, if you did watch Sherb v. Huunter, there was a distinct difference between the efficiency. Sherb was much more efficient than Huunter in terms of once his feet got back out in front of him, he was popping his hip. And you could see that the cycle rate had a lot less time under tension, which is, a big thing in this workout. If you're going to hang from the pull-up bar for the majority of it, you should be as efficient as you can be. And really all you want to look for in an athlete is in real time what a lower half, like foot driven, leg driven chest to bar pull up looks like. Is it looks slow. And you're like, they're hitting all of the areas that we want. And then when you take a video of it and slow it down, you realize that as they're coming back through and the legs are coming back up, you're in that backswing, your legs are coming up, they stay up. And the person goes all the way up that way. And then the hip doesn't open until the chest comes through and the feet trade places. And we back in the day were
looks a lot bigger.
Yes, it looks a lot bigger. It looks slower. It certainly feels slower. And back in the day we would work with Alec on these, and he said even, as someone who can do who knows how many chest to bar pull-ups he could do in a row, he still says feet hips to himself in his head. So it's just the idea that once the feet get out in front of you, once you can see them, once you know that you've created an angle between your leg and your torso, you're popping that hip. And I mean, it's going to make it a lot easier, and hopefully it will cut down on that time under tension. But there's a lot to be gained if you're on that line. If you're that person that maybe you are in that, unbroken, and then 2 or 3 sets, but you don't move efficiently there. What does it do to your bar muscle ups, that whole deal? So it's an important thing to talk about. Again, plenty of videos, Misfit Athletics YouTube channel about how to get this done, what your grip should look like, all that stuff. But it's definitely worth bringing up. It was
running through my head as I was doing the chest to bar pull-ups. I did want to get over halfway. That was like my benchmark, and it felt good, so I kept going. And, I was thinking about as I was moving through those, this is the middle of the workout, or in my mind, middle of the workout. So if you work too hard on the chest to bar pull-ups, like you don't have a prayer of being able to get through the bar muscle-ups with any sort of efficiency or good time. So take that extra time to dial those in, lock your grip into place, and just over-exaggerate the hips. That's like what I was thinking to myself.
If you were to
really
redo it, what would the sets be in your chest to bar?
I might stop at like 18, maybe go like 18 and then
6-6 or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I never felt like I was out of control with chest to bar pull-ups, but after I came down after the set of 7 after the first set, it's like, ooh, breathing heavy. And then did the thrusters, did the front squats. And then as soon as I went up to the pull-up bar, I was like, oops, I went a little too big with the chest to bar pull-ups because I was hoping to get closer to 10 for my first set of bar muscle-ups, and I did not get 10.
Yeah. I think
what would you change if you?
I don't know that I would change anything. I just know now, having the information. I do think this is a workout that you should plan to do definitely a second time. It's just one of those things where you learn how it feels. I don't think it's like, I hate to say
this is the History Channel today, though. They're going to learn from your mistakes, and they're going to go crush it.
It's not that bad. I think it is like the tagline. So, but I will say that I would plan to break, again, know yourself, plan to break things up, because to me the first 2 sections of that workout decide your third section. Yeah. If you choose to take, say, and go 20 seconds slower across those first 2 sections than you might otherwise, even 30 seconds, that is very easily made up on sets of bar muscle ups.
You both used more than 67% of your gas tank.
Yeah, we like the number of sets. I think I did 3 bar muscle ups and then sets of 2, so almost 15 sets with at least 5, probably closer to hours of rest between. Hours of rest.
I wish there was hours of rest.
Probably upwards of 2 to 3 minutes of total rest built into those bar muscle ups, and you could easily hack out 30 seconds there by shaving out 2 or 3 sets of bar muscle ups.
Now, when you
set yourself up for success in that third section.
When you say muscle fatigue, are you talking grip, or are you talking like going through the dip and?
Grip was definitely played in a little bit to it. Like I surfed the last 2 mornings, my triceps are cooking. So
there's the
pull.
Right?
I was trying to avoid it.
I was trying to pull it out of him.
That was last Wednesday with my son. That's why.
I was gonna say, what's wrong with you until you give me an excuse.
I was like, no, sure beat me fair and square. He was better. He was fitter than me today. So, but
today,
like,
keyword.
so that definitely played. That was definitely a factor for me. So it was upper body fatigue for me. Was the metabolic demand was there, but it was, I'm not going to hop up because my arms are really tired. It's not necessarily that I couldn't have done one. So the line between gas and kind of muscle overload, but it was definitely more muscular than anything for me.
I talked to a lot of athletes that we work with, specifically about confidence in movements. And as soon as grip becomes an issue, confidence goes away. And I think that was really what it was for like me today, is that I started to feel my grip get fatigued, and then I didn't trust myself to go over. So you were saying like chicken wings at the end. That's because I was impatient with allowing myself to close the shoulder.
I was really hoping you were going to fail like a last bar muscle up. I knew it was probably not going to happen, but like I was like,
your 29th made me wonder about your 30th.
Because I got that free fall from 29. That helps 30
through.
Yeah, exactly. That helps a bunch. But that's something I think about a lot. So if you're not locking your grip in early, you pay for it later because you've worked too hard to, like Drew was saying earlier, motorcycle grip over and over and over again, and then you don't have confidence in your grip, and then you essentially like almost lose fitness percentage points just because you're not confident with your grip.
How would you break up the bar muscle ups, just personally?
I'll tell you how I'd break up this whole workout. I would go 22 and 8 on my total bar. I would go 18 and probably 6-6, something like that on my chest to bar. And then I'd try to get at least 10 to 12 plus on my first set of bar muscle ups.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I know.
How would you break up your thrusters?
I would.
Got him.
All you got to do is rest as long as him from the bar to the bar, and you'll be fine.
Getting his grips off. Gosh. Terrible.
I was tired.
I like that one.
No, but like in my head when I look at this workout, I mean, I know you guys say like you thought when you're on the chest to bar, oh, I'm halfway done the workout. I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think that. I mean,
I got a feeling the metabolic demand of a bar muscle up's higher than
like exactly
10 bar muscle ups is about.
And honestly, I'm a bigger guy that's going to be on the bar, but I do enjoy bar muscle ups, and I know that. And I know Sherb is completely correct with people. The minute I feel like my grip is pumped out, all of a sudden I go from I can do 10 to I can do 3.
Yeah.
And I don't want that feeling jumping up to the bar. And I know if I take seconds early on, that it's going to really help me out later on. So yeah, I think that would be my plan.
All right, movement breakdown for the bar muscle up. I'm just going to keep saying it. Maybe there's a button next time. Plenty of resources on our YouTube channel. We talked about it a little bit with Austin before. That video will get published. But it's worth bringing up that it's different gymnastics than we're used to. It's different than the ring muscle up. It's different than the chest to bar pull up. Obviously different than the toes to bar. That glide kip, that style where your entire body is in front of the pull-up bar, if you draw that cross section, just allows for so much more swing and the ability to go back and around the bar. That's obviously the difference between the rings. We get to go up through the rings. With this, we have to go out and around. So getting that down, I would say, is a really good first step. That way, that momentum that you're getting each time really helps you. And obviously, if we're trying to create that on the way down, we just don't want to stick the feet too far out in front like we normally would. So you're in a ring muscle up, you're at the top, you stick your feet out so that you recreate that swing. But we actually want the swing to come like, you're swinging on a pull-up bar as a kid. Like you want to come back and then your whole body goes through. So if you can keep your feet in line or behind the pull-up bar as you're coming down, that's going to help you swing back through. Finishing the glide kip is a skill that takes a little while, but it's also one of the skills that once it clicks, you're good. Like it's really worth it to try and practice this, inside of a bubble, outside of this workout, to try and figure it out, because it does make them a lot easier. Obviously, if it's not making sense for you, if they don't feel efficient, you can go back to more of your traditional style. But once we're swinging back, next cue is knees to bar. You can bend the knees. You want to bend the knees. Gymnasts bend the knees in this situation. They get their knee up to the bar, and then you end up with your knees very high and your torso very high because your arms are out in front of you. And that hip to bar is very easy. Really, the only thing left to figure out is how do you get your hands on top, which for a lot of athletes just happens normally. So we get that glide kip, we go knees to bar, and we go hip to bar. And it might sound a little crazy, but it actually is hip to bar. Like you should catch yourself pretty high in a more traditional gymnastics style bar muscle up.
Now, the way I like to think of the hands when I teach athletes how to get over the bar and the bar muscle ups, it's like the brake on a bicycle, right? If you fully squeeze, you're going to impede your ability to go up and over that bar. So as you throw your hip, think about opening your hands somewhat so those hands can freely rotate. Because I've seen a bunch of athletes get really
So you're on the
close
brakes, but you're like going down a hill and you still want a little.
You want a little bit. You want to be under control.
That's good.
The only thing I wanted to emphasize from your point is that there's going to be a bunch of misfits out there who are trying to get their first bar muscle up in this workout. If you are trying in that, that category of athlete who's trying to get that first bar muscle up in this piece, the first tip you said,
jumping
into that rep is going to give you so much free energy. And the trick is, don't be impatient. Allow yourself to swing back. So when you're practicing this out in the gym before the workout, jump into it, film yourself from the side, and allow your body to swing back over to the other side from where you started before you try to throw your hip and go up over that bar.
So one of the things that happens, and again, we're chasing that same concept. So if you're jumping up, we need your feet behind you when your hands contact the bar so that they swing through. What a lot of people do is they have the best of intentions, and then when they jump, they bring their hips through and they're sort of just vertical, and you get a little bit of it. So one of you guys came up with this, I don't remember who, but we put that tape on the floor, and that teaches you to understand, I'm going to jump from this tape. The people that get that running jump often run and jump and end up doing exactly what they would do directly under the bar. So if you're practicing, you want to make sure that you have that tape line that's just a few inches behind the bar, I don't know, 6-8 inches, somewhere in that range. If you jump from there and have your hands pointing, Superman style, you are going to end up in that position, and you're going to feel what it's like to start a glide kip. You have a lot more momentum that way.
And that's key when getting your first bar muscle up. You're not going to muscle yourself over that bar. You're going to want to use that free energy in your swing.
Mimicking the second one. We all know that usually if you're not completely fried, the second one is easier than the first.
Thinking about the open announcement, there weren't a ton of things to pull from that. Sometimes it's hard when people just absolutely annihilate the workout, and it's like, yeah, do that. None of them were, and for anyone that a few times we've done this, people think I'm talking shit. 3 of the fittest people in the entire world. You're awesome. Not that efficient in their bar muscle ups. Really kind of keeping the knees low, like more like old school with a really big dip that's in there. And it's just one of those things where, you're going up against you're going up against everyone. You're going up against someone like Scott Panchek. So the best of the best could potentially be as fit as him and someone who's figured out how to glide kip. So it's worth bringing up just the idea that, you know, you be efficient and, you know, you have a much better chance of keeping up with these people. Because he didn't look that tired
at that point in the workout too, the kind of traditional bar muscle up, if you hop up from right under the bar and you get that super violent extension and that aggressive pull, that will be so short-lived for you.
Yes.
Compared to that glide kip style. It's just so much more demanding. There's just so much more torque in the system than
it
using
feels
kind of the momentum
and it feels
of the glide kip.
Snappy in like a dangerous way.
Yeah.
It's like sprinting the toast bar at the beginning.
Yeah, it's
like,
weird.
wow, this feels really good
for 5.
and then it feels 90% as good, and then 60, and then, you know, you're kind of toast.
Yep.
Last but not least, everyone wanted to know about your sumo squats, is what they were calling them.
They dope.
A lot of people
Shorten that range of
actually
motion.
seem to ask whether it was efficient or not. The only time that I see Sherb, and it did happen a little bit in this workout where it's not efficient, is if you go wide with your squat. Obviously, we're shortening range of motion. You know, tight makes it light. The barbell is going to move faster if your joints feel tighter as you're going down. But Sherb struggles a little bit with internal hip rotation. So if you are squatting so wide that your knees start to track further and further in as you're going through the squat, that's when it's a problem. And that's why the squat itself is so highly personalized. Why you see some people with their feet closer together, some people with their feet really wide. It has to do with mobility. It has to do with limb length. It has to do with, you know, femur versus there's a lot of factors that go into it. So it did look a little crazy, and I would want him to bring his feet in, but probably not as much as you think. I want him to maintain hip tension because that's what the bounce in the squat is going to rely on in terms of actually being able to stand up out of it. But he's got long, skinny ass legs, and if he doesn't have good ankle range, so he has a tough time getting below parallel. Like if his feet looked normal, he would have to sit back like it was a low bar back squat to get below
My
parallel.
chest would be on my thighs.
Yeah, and then your heels would be coming up, and all kinds of stuff would be happening. Yeah, that's just the way.
So it's kind of an odd use case, but they weren't far from where I would coach for maximum efficiency.
the
so-
lift.
I would say with the
about the
lift, one thing that I don't know why I didn't think about it until my second to or what ended
we're
up
not
being
done,
my
Cody.
heaviest bar
Just for 21.3.
was the fact that the deadlift is kind of a gift because it allows you to use a stretch reflex.
Yeah.
Like a lot of athletes, especially CrossFitters, really struggle with getting the bar into the right or getting tight, getting into the correct setup position and being tight. The deadlift enables you, once you obviously stand that bar up and lower it down, if you can get, a traditional deadlift, we would want the hips to stay a little bit higher. But in this case, like as you bring the bar down after your deadlift, if you drop your hips and do that touch and go, you're going to feel like probably significantly better than if you just had to create that tension.
People who struggle with driving through their feet are going to feel fantastic going through that movement.
And I felt like that helped me power clean it as something that I squat clean.
That came out of nowhere.
Warmed up. Yeah. Well, I was like, why
Did you know you were going to do it?
After whatever I hit, I think I hit 185 and then 225. I think I squat cleaned for 225, and I was like, why am I doing this? I don't need to. I can just, if I can power clean this and save my legs, because I'm going to try to go a little bit heavier in the next one. I will have to squat clean that.
Yeah.
Like why not power clean? Use that tension, use the stretch reflex off that deadlift and be able to power clean it.
So general feel, what's the 7 minutes feel like? How did you guys feel in terms of like, I'm fresh, I'm ready to rock, versus what you felt like a couple minutes into this?
The 185 that I think we both hit to start was pretty much of a gimme. It was just nice to get a score in the books. At that point, I was very uncomfortable still. Still very uncomfortable at that point. I was actually joked to Austin, who was my judge, that it's been like 1:50 and I've done nothing so far. So I would say, do your best to try to get your first lift right around 90 seconds after the workout or faster if you can. Get a safe score in the books. Just so you have one under your belt and so you know what it feels like to move through that complex. I didn't elect to do like partial complexes at any point because I didn't know what I would get up to. Those athletes that are, very well educated in what they can and can't do might skip, maybe the hang squat clean early on just to kind of move through it and just make sure their clean and jerk feels good. By the like 3 to 4 minute mark, I had more or less recovered from the metabolic demand, but my grip was a little bit tired. So like you had said early on, like use the bounce clean. And I'm not someone who typically uses the bounce clean as like my like go-to in the hang, but I wanted to see if that would, be okay moving through that and what that would do for my like front rack and how it would jerk. And I was able to go through 245 that way and it felt pretty good. And then the last bar, it was just like, please go over my head. The deadlift, like you said, it's a nice little gimme. Gets you a stretch reflex for the squat clean. The squat clean felt pretty easy. The hang squat clean was a little squirrely. The biggest thing there is making sure you go back to your practice habits, get back to your heels, make sure the bar's not hanging out in front of you so that you don't work extra hard in your second squat clean so you can put that bar over your head. So, it was, I would like to say that, on a perfect day, sun is shining, I get hit closer to like 275, 285, but
the weight that you hit didn't look that challenging.
That's what Austin said too.
But people don't understand what you feel like while you're going through that. And that can be both true, like this is what I'm capable of right now, but it can also be an athlete in their own head being like, I can't
having gone through that now, if Hunter decided to, hey, on Monday I want to do this again, like I'd take a little bit more of a risk on the clean and jerk, the complex, because I got done and I was like, I probably had a little bit more in the tank. And like when you leave something on the tank like out there like that, and you knew you probably could have gone 10, 15 pounds heavier, it kind of itches at you. You're like, next time I'll make sure,
How many lifts
jumps.
did you do?
I did 4 total. I did 185, 215, 245, and 265.
Yeah, same.
You think that was the right number?
Yeah, I don't know how much faster I could go, and based on
maybe one more, maybe.
I would have preferred. I wanted to see
so.
Sherb at about. We'll get to this in a second, but I wanted to see him closer to 80% of his clean and jerk a little bit sooner, and 80% of his clean and jerk's about 245, somewhere in that range. And I would have liked to see him hit that sooner because I think most athletes are going to end up in that range of 80 to 90. You certainly were.
Yeah.
90 plus typically is going to mean that, you're like a grip monster. It just doesn't affect you that you're going through those. That can happen for a lot of people. But the question that still remains is, when did you guys feel normal? Because a lot of times those windows actually feel longer.
Yeah.
Like, when did you guys feel normal again? At what point were you like, okay, I'm not worried about my breathing now. It's more just like I need to be smart and lift.
The second I hit the 245 bar, which left me about 2.5 minutes left, so it's like 4.5 minutes in that window, I felt, back to like, all right, now it's like a lifting session versus I just smoked myself with a conditioning piece and now I'm trying to see what I got. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely going to depend on how the workout impacts you.
Yeah.
More muscular fatigue for me. It took me 13 minutes to do my bar muscle ups and then a casual set of thrusters, and the metabolic demand had kind of dropped off quite a bit. It probably didn't look like it and it didn't feel like it, but it wasn't, it didn't feel like lifts have in the past in the open when you're just like, I might die. Like it actually felt pretty good. I would have liked to build up a little bit more in the warm up. I think I just ended at 185 for like a clean and jerk. After in the first attempt, I probably would have maybe just done a squat clean and jerk at 185 as opposed to the full complex. And then I would have power cleaned 225, power cleaned 245, 246, whatever it was. And then made a jump.
I got a shameless plug right now.
I don't actually think I would have. I would be pretty. If I did that again, I would probably do the same thing and just try to get 265 that dumped me into the ground.
This tip will not help you for the 21.3, 21.4, but if you think about how you perform in those workouts and you're discouraged with how long it took you to recover from 21.3 going into 21.4, do your weekly work, do your fasted cardio, do those longer pieces, because that's going to help you flush waste and help you feel better sooner. I'm not saying that the fact that I did 20 minutes on the C2 bike yesterday is the reason why I was able to recover in 4 minutes, but the more you put that stuff into your rotation.
You put in like hundreds of hours.
So many hours, but that's the point here is
just
if you're
20 minutes one day before the workout.
That's all it takes. But no, seriously, if you're finding yourself a little bit discouraged with how long it took you to recover from 21.3 going into 21.4, shameless little plug, do your fasted cardio, do your aerobic work. You're going to find that you get more recovered faster and you're able to hit a higher percentage of your lifts when you are tired.
Right. Movement efficiency when it comes to the actual complex itself. The deadlift again, is actually helpful for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
People don't realize that the first part of a squat clean, squat snatch, any Olympic lift is basically a squat.
CrossFitters are terrible at that setup.
Yeah, it feels too much like a deadlift, and people end up in that straight leg position. And if my knees are not bent and I get to the hip, what's the way? There's only one way I can move the bar. I got to hump it forward, swing it around, and hope that I can jump under it. It doesn't feel like you're doing any of that on
My
purpose.
technique for years.
Yeah.
You know, the human body and, you know, your reflexes and all of the things that you've accumulated over the years make you very good at finding a way to cheat a movement to still have it happen. And it's not very strong. And that front rack position better be bulletproof and perfect if you're, you know, a hump and dump, as we like to call it, type athlete. So when you get past the knee, if that deadlift, if going down and up from that deadlift is pulling you forward, that's going to be a little bit of a problem. So we need to make sure that as you're passing your knee and you're clean, that you regain knee bend. You have to regain knee bend. Yes, we want you to keep your heels down. A lot of athletes struggle with that. It's different for every athlete. It's more challenging in the clean, so we can't really sweep the bar back like you can in the snatch, but you have to regain knee bend. If you also keep your heels down in a power position, the clean is going to be super easy. But I would say number one is figuring out how to get that knee bend back. And if you're unfamiliar with this, your low hang position should be insanely uncomfortable. You should make yourself so tight in that position, your knees just come back in front on purpose. And we can do that by pushing the knees out also to get them out of the way. If they're out wide and, you know, pretty close to extended, as the barbell comes back into the thigh, they're just going to come forward on their own. But again, if you get pulled forward, that's going to be an issue. And the really only other thing that I have to say is, for the love of God, use your legs in your split jerk.
Yep.
The muscle fatigue in that workout is still going to be there. You're not going to have, you know, the strongest lockout. You're not going to have much pressing power. You need to get under the bar. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we would like to see it done in the best way possible, but guess what? It's open season, and I want to see you put as much fucking weight over your head as you can. So move in a way, you know, slight changes to the way that you move. Really think about getting under the bar. We would love to see that back leg bent. You know, more you drive that knee down towards the ground, the easier it's going to be to not overextend and do the, you know, wobble all in that position. But the biggest thing is convince yourself to push under the bar, because not locking out a weight that you always lock out is going to suck.
Yeah, very frustrating. I would say the thing that helped me the most listening to you give the tips to Austin prior to was slow down on the way to the floor after your deadlift. I thought that helped a ton for me, because I'm someone who relies on a big pull and necessarily the best Olympic lifter, so I can get myself in some bad positions. And the second I heard a complex versus a 1 rep max, I was like, fuck, this is what exposes my inefficiency in a barbell. So if you don't think about how you move, even though you're trying to put as much weight over your head as possible through this complex, if you aren't slowing yourself down to at least think about how you get to these positions, you're going to struggle. And that's what this, you know, that's what complexes expose, is inefficient movers. So for me, the two things that were most important were slow down to the floor after you do your deadlift, so you're in control and composed for the clean, and then take your time and make sure you're vertical and use your legs for the jerk. Because you know, I don't know how you felt after you stood up your heaviest like hang squat clean. Like, were you concerned at all about missing the jerk?
I mean, it's always like, I feel pretty confident in the jerk, and I also did kind of that, like the old school Ben Smith, like immediately into that dip, because I used in the same way that that the deadlift helps with the stretch reflex in the clean. As soon as you stand it up, go into that dip again and kind of get a stretch reflex for the jerk. So, yeah, I felt pretty good, but I do think like there are a lot of athletes out there who are still in that like kind of press out or poor positioning overhead. Odds are, if your positioning is poor overhead before you do a workout, your gymnastics probably aren't ideal, and then that weight, you're going to be upset when the reason you didn't hit that complex is because you couldn't stabilize it overhead.
True that.
Do you think doing this again, knowing what you did, you would not run through the first complex to the first bar, or the second, the full thing?
Say again. Oh, would I do like an abbreviated version
if
of
you
it?
did it again, would you not?
I don't think it was necessary to do the 185, the 185 complex. It was, you know,
Coach
more of
says
a,
yes.
Yeah, watching it, especially knowing myself, like that's exactly what I would do as well. I know that I'm a better power cleaner than I am squat, so most likely it's going to be like a deadlift plus hang power clean, and then into like some sort of jerk. something like that, at least for like, I think the first 2 bars. And I think that's what you said you would have liked to him get to a little bit. What did you say? 70, 80%?
About 80% of your clean and jerk should be happening in a window where you can then strategize. I think that to me is the bare minimum weight. So if you hit that, then I want to know what you think you can hit afterwards.
Yeah, and the goal would be to give you somewhere in the neighborhood of about 2 attempts after that, depending on how.
Yeah, I'd
well
like to see I'd like to see at least 2 lifts after your 80%.
Yeah. And I think shortening the first couple complexes allow you to feel the weight.
Yep.
But it doesn't allow you to, it doesn't take so much out of you that you're having to recover so much to get to the next one. You can get a little
Hopefully
bit
you
faster there.
You warmed up to, would you have somebody warm up like a squat clean and jerk to 80% or a power clean and jerk to like whatever version they're going to do, have them warm up to that in like ahead of their warm up, and then execute?
I'd say maybe a little bit closer to 70, but again, it's that I think it's the 70 to 80 window just because you want to feel how you feel that day.
Right.
A lot of people who lift heavy weight are more fast twitch. Some days that, the igniter isn't necessarily there in the exact same way. So I would like to see an athlete get into that prior. Really focus on any sort of sticking points, mobility positions. I'd want you, if you're not great in the squat, I want to pause squat. If you're not great in the jerk, I want to pause jerk where you're catching, holding on, thinking about what position am I in? Is this good? But yeah, I'd say 70 to 80 window when it comes to that.
Yep. So warm up to that. And then you have to remember, hopefully you're starting the workout, 5 or so minutes later, and then at most 15 minutes later, you're clean and jerking. So it's not like you've cooled down significantly or anything like that. You've obviously squatted and done other movements. So yeah, I would put a, sub 70% or maybe like you're 70% on the bar, hit a clean and jerk, like you said, to just kind of feel a little bit of the weight. And then maybe even that second weight, I wouldn't knowing what I know now, I'm very confident that I could hit that 245 again.
Which was your third bar.
Which was my third bar. So I would do abbreviated versions of my first and second.
Agreed.
Hit like that, a solid weight for my third, and then that reach set as a fourth one. I think 4 is reasonable for most. If you're somebody who knows they're going to be really smoked after the Metcon, then maybe you're only able to get 3 in there.
And your third bar is important because that's the one where I think you really have to figure out exactly what your cadence is in terms of, are you power cleaning one of them and squat cleaning the other?
Yep.
Because when it gets to that maximal, drawing on history that, just took place in the last 2 or 3 minutes is typically going to help you.
Yep.
So I wouldn't try something new on your buzzer beater. I don't think that's going to work too well for most people.
I did. It worked out great.
It's funny you say that because that's the point where I went.
I just sat down.
I actually got to go to the low hang here instead of doing the bounce clean like Drew said early on. If you're familiar with that and that's your your normal, by all means feel free. But you got to stay above the knee. So for me, it was all right. I'm not super confident with that, so I'm going to go back to what I know, and that's
that is a good point. So if you're somebody who doesn't like to dig into the score sheet, you have to stay above the knee in your hang clean. Not that I don't even know if any CrossFitter would go to the mid shin, drop their hips and a nice quality
style
clean. Yeah. But
I don't think we got many suggestions for the tiebreaker, so we are going to have to throw that onto the grams. We'll throw it onto Instagram and we'll figure it out. They will choose which one they agree on, and then you will get a free STA prize pack.
30 assault bike calories for time. Got it.
All right.
I feel like you guys should just do the last round of the workout, just straight up.
I really want them to fight.
15, 30, 15.
So 30 bar muscle ups for time. That sounds fine. I'll do that.
All right.
30.
Well, if one of you suggests that and they agree to it, well, you get a free STA prize back.
No, that's gone. Wait,
max deadlift. Got it.
We've got some quick questions about whether we think that 7 minutes of burpees is the latest suggestion.
I'm sick that day.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. They both have to agree, because if you keep throwing wheelhouse things out there, then
I'm not going to agree.
Like if it was lunging on a tightrope, obviously, Sherb,
interested.
Yes. All right. Should anyone change their prep for today? There are some people that have not done their primer day. I actually think that if you stay closer to the 70 to 75% in those power clean and jerks, it's not doing anything to me, and I'm priming that movement. I'm thinking about the way that I move. Maybe I do pause, in my catch in the jerk and just make sure I'm moving really well, but I absolutely would not change that. And then that 6 minute AMRAP, if you want to
rowing toes to bar and thrusters, is that what it is this week?
Yeah. I honestly, if you are the type of person that's going to get in your head and then think about it the next day, it doesn't matter if you're right or we're right or whatever. What matters is that you're comfortable going into your open workout. So if you look at that and you go, know what, I'm changing these to shoulder to overhead with this, and I'm going to do something different on the pull-up bar. I'm going to do a farm, whatever.
Machine calories,
yes,
just something.
What is the goal of that? Like what
so it's a 6-minute primer workout. Yeah. It's row, toe to bar, dumbbell thrust. I think it's like 10, 8, 6.
Yeah.
So you're basically supposed to go through it 3 to 4 times and just try to get your heart rate up. So part of me says you're literally priming the movements that you need to for the following day. But if it gets in your head, don't do it. Like that part is important.
Yeah, and to be clear, I was laughing because I was like, that's a perfect primer workout. You're moving through the exact ranges of motion. You're not accumulating excess fatigue in any of those movements.
Right.
Like, you should not be afraid to hammer that.
Right. But if you are, we'll address that next year.
Sure.
Change your movement so you feel comfortable tomorrow. Yeah. That's a very, very important part, but we actually really like. So we got 2 more. We got the 200-pound sandbag hold.
Oh gosh,
that would be good because you should beat him, but that doesn't mean you will. Tiebreak is Yoki Robinson. What was Yoki Robinson? Oh my goodness!
You can do like
oh my goodness!
I'm not doing that workout again. Get back, Jim.
That would be amazing.
You do it, Jim.
Sherb's upset.
I'm very upset.
Sherb's upset. We got some suggestions, but we are going to throw it. We're going to throw the contest on Instagram, so you'll be able to see that.
I like the 200-pound sandbag.
You think you can win that?
You know what it would be though?
What would you give your chances?
You have to do the 200-pound sandbag, and then you'd also have to do the cliffhanger, the hold, and you just combine times. Because I feel like you'd be better at the hold, but you'd be better at the sandbag. So just be combined times of the two.
We're gonna figure this out.
Put it on Instagram, Cody.
Yeah, I'm gonna just start doing all these.
A few more
we
questions.
are going to have the tiebreaker. All right,
Cody
so
creates 13 fake account. Not Cody Mooney.
at not Cody Mooney.
At not Cody Mooney.
1 and 2, 3.
6 minutes of burpees at not Cody Mooney 2. 8 minutes of
Love it. So 21.3, 21.4 going down this weekend. We are going to continue to put out content. If there's questions you guys have, at Misfit Athletics, at Misfit Coach, at MF Sherb, at Hunter Should, shoot us some messages. There's a higher likelihood that I will respond to you over Hunter, I would say, but that maybe this maybe this weekend that isn't true. Maybe he's super excited for you guys. All jokes aside, the content will keep rolling. Please head to misfitathletics.com. Check out the brand new website. Shout out to that hashtag Misfit Takeover 2021 leaderboard. We keep up with all of you guys. Sherb let us know pre-podcast that 3 of our sort of age group athletes that are remote coaching athletes, Jenna Michelotti, 8th place in the world, Sophie Shaft, 7th place in the world, Justin Lasala, perennial games athlete, 7th place in the world.
Top tenors.
So we love to see that. And there's actually
second place the CrossFit Games. So
one thing that's really exciting about how we've been developing these programs over the last few years is there's really starting to be this Misfit Masters community, sort of subculture of the Misfit Athletics culture. The teens are crushing it. That's just the teens that are doing the program that are remote coaching athletes. There's a lot more that are crushing it, and we'll go over all of that in the full open recap next week. Shout out to FitAid once again and Sean Scott for winning the $500 package. And you better not forget to head to giveaway.misfitathletics.com/open to enter yourself to win a free Assault Bike Pro. Shout out to the team over at Assault once again. Continental US only. Very sorry. We were being honest with you though. We could have just not said that and then not given you the bike. So
that's true.
We're putting it all out there. Last but not least,
up on the edge of California.
Before we call it, I don't know if you've noticed my shirt, Sherb's shirt, Hunter's shirt, spring cleaning. We do 3 massive sales every year. Spring cleaning, April 2nd, and it is April 2nd at midnight, which means it's sort of Thursday, but sort of Friday. You guys will figure it out, hopefully. You usually buy everything we have within the first few hours, so some people are definitely figuring it out. But what's exciting about this is we have a ton of brand new shit, and it starts out on sale. Day 1, it's on sale, and it always sells out, so you're going to want to get there at midnight. And probably for the first time ever, there's a few hundred joggers that are not that are already in the store right now. I probably shouldn't say this because then you're not going to buy them until April 2nd, but that's fine. You guys are going to receive a large discount on joggers and joggers for the first time ever. And it could honestly be the only time that we do this because we typically don't have any left when it comes to spring cleaning. So sharpentheaxeco.com. Athlete codes will work. You'll be able to support your favorite athlete, or you will be able to support the Keala Foundation if you use the code word Keala, Keala, at checkout. You save 10%, and then we send the same amount that you saved to the Keala Foundation. Really amazing foundation. You can head to their website to check out what they do. And you know what? There's a lot of fucking reps in 21.3, and you're going to need some proper recovery. You can head to properfuel.co. Use the code word MISFIT to save on your very first order. We got protein, carbs, electrolytes, creatine, digestive enzymes. If you typically don't do well with whey, we have everything that you need post-workout in one jug. Nice and convenient. Properfuel.co. Use the code word MISFIT. We're going to figure out that tiebreaker, see who won the Open, and we will see you guys next week for the recap episode.